Hello, Live Naturally community. How are you guys doing? I'm gonna wait just a few minutes. I think I'm a couple minutes early. I don't see anybody popped on yet, so I'm gonna wait and pop up my notes. Am I popping through clear, everyone? Just want to make sure lighting's good. Everyone can see me well. We don't always have the best internet connection here. We live in the mountains in Colorado, Buena Vista, Colorado, which is about 2 hours west of Colorado Springs. It is about 7:02 is what I'm seeing here. And so I'm gonna wait just a couple more minutes to see who we can get on here, and then we will go ahead and get started. And we are doing essential oils for men, and also it's really going to be more of a men's health and wellness. But we're going to incorporate essential oils, supplements, things of that nature. I don't see anybody on yet, and so I'm just wondering if we're having any issues. I want to make sure. Oh, I do see someone popped on. 2 people popped on. Not sure where my... I have 7:01, so we'll wait a couple minutes. We don't have any men on yet. Actually, we don't have anybody on yet. I was put in as an admin, and so I believe, and I'm logged in under my wife, so I believe that we are good. Oh, I think now we are live. Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Someone give me a thumbs up. I just want to make sure that we have good connectivity. Or comment. Can we comment? Can someone comment? Because I said earlier, I live in the mountains, so sometimes my internet connection isn't as stable as people who live in the city. So just want to make sure we're good. Awesome. Thank you. Great. Did everyone tell their husbands to get on this call? How many men are on? Give me a thumbs up if you're a man. Or comment in the section. Because I'm convinced that men can use essential oils more effectively. In fact, I think they're more beneficial to men than they are for women. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. And that it should be more popular amongst men than it is amongst women. Just the sheer benefits that men can see from utilizing essential oils. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I just got to pull up my notes here. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to incorporate a couple stories, if that's okay, just with regards to my life, and some of them will be a little bit funny. I'm going to be making fun of men just a little bit, but I have permission to do that only because I am a man, and so we can make fun of ourselves. So pull up my notes, and we will get started. Yeah, like I said before, I think when we're talking about essential oils and why men are so resistant to essential oils and maybe even natural forms of wellness, I don't think it's just natural forms of wellness or essential oils. I think it's really that men are resistant to change. Okay. I think men tend to be a little more hesitant when it comes to trying something new, trying something that might improve their health, because in all honesty, most men, and I know prior to about 2 years ago, we don't think about our health very often. We really don't. That is statistically, women tend to think about their health. I think when I looked it up in Journal of American Medical, the JAMA review, it was like 33% women think about their health 33% more than men do. And so I don't think it's that. I think it's just men are a little hesitant. I think they just have a hard time really grasping something that's new when it comes to and grabbing onto it and gravitating towards it. But like I said, I think men can use it essential oils effectively more than women. And why I say that is because men tend to be less healthy than women. When we look at the statistics, it is pretty apparent that obviously men die before women do. And the reason behind that is men lead 8 out of the 10 causes of death, whether they be cancer or heart disease, Parkinson's disease, and I'm saying most forms of cancer, men are more susceptible to those. And we got to figure out why that is. Why is it that men are more susceptible to those things? Some of it's just genetic, some of it is our hormones, but we are definitely more susceptible to those things. Our reproductive anatomy plays a big part of that. Our metabolism tends to be slower and doesn't work as efficiently as women's metabolism. There are also social factors that play into that, meaning men tend to be less social creatures than women. And so that tends to play a big part in us not living as long and us being susceptible to some of these chronic diseases that we see. Work stress, although women are ramping up, and work stress is becoming a very apparent thing amongst women because we don't see just men in the workplace any longer. In fact, there are more women in the workplace and in more professional positions today, yay women, than men. And so that work stress is definitely something that both men and women are dealing with. Again, we said lack of social networks and support that tends to play a big part in the fact that men tend to be less healthy. We are riskier behavior. I would say stupid behavior for the most part. And I'm going to tell you a little story. What I mean by why do men, why do they live less number of years, or why do we not live as long as women do? And here's a story about, I would say, I think it was about 8 years ago or so. I went on a fishing trip with my buddies. There's about 4 or 5 of us. We were in the boat, casting away. We'd been in the boat all day long, and it was getting to be about dusk time. And we were still living in Wisconsin at the time, and so if you know anything about dusk in the summer on kind of a stagnant lake, mosquitoes tend to come out. And so we had just multitudes of mosquitoes everywhere. And so we were scrambling around the boat looking for some insect repellent. And so the insect repellent that we found was in an old tackle box that I had gotten from my dad. And so my dad had worked and retired from Johnson Wax. And most of you people, a lot of you people that are watching or will be watching know that Johnson Wax is based in Racine, and they make Off and Windex and all sorts of chemicals that Karen and I don't use anymore. I know it's heresy in our home, but we don't use any anymore. But so I was going through his tackle box, and lo and behold, we found an old, probably a 15-year-old bottle of Deep Woods Off. And Deep Woods Off, 20 years ago or so, we were looking at the ingredients on it, was 100% DEET. 100% DEET. You will not find that in any insect repellent any longer. So if you go to the store and get it, you won't see 100% DEET. DEET is not good for us. It is terrible. It's a hormone disruptor. It's one of those things you just don't want to put on your skin. So 100% DEET. I'm looking at this bottle and I'm like, guys, it's 100% DEET. We're not going to get chewed at all. And so we're all lathering this on, not thinking of the consequences of putting 100% DEET on our skin. And all of a sudden and it's all greasy and just looks weird. And our skin is, all of a sudden, all of us are turning just this bright red all over. And we had put it on our face. And that's just what men do, right? We don't even think about these things, right? We don't think about the ramifications of what we're putting on our skin and what we're doing. Women tend to think about this a lot more than men do. So we're just lathering all up, not thinking like, this is 15-year-old bottle of 100% DEET. It can't be good for us. But it doesn't matter. We're just kind of lathering it on and looking, and all of a sudden we're looking at ourselves and yes, did we accomplish the task of not having mosquitoes around us? Yes, we did. It worked fantastic with regards to that. But we were itching and it was just nasty. And so I'm sure that probably at some point in my life, I'm going to get some sort of cancer due to the fact that I lathered myself up about 8 years ago with 100% DEET and not thinking about it. And so men just tend to not think about those things. And I think that's probably why a portion of the reason why men tend to not gravitate towards like essential oils and natural forms of, it's just we don't think about those things. Another thing we want to talk about is our diets. So men's diets tend to be much less healthy than women. The other day I went, and I'm right now I do a little bit of, in the summertime I do a little bit of landscaping from time to time. And so I was out and about doing some contracting, and I think 3 out of the 4 guys that I was working with, they were drinking Monsters to get themselves, going in the morning. And if anybody knows anything about Monster is just laden with terrible things and has just a boatload of sugar in it. And we just tend to be, and men tend to gravitate towards that stuff. We love sugar, and we don't think about it. So our diet is not healthy for the most part. We don't go and see the doctor. Men don't. We are not proactive with our health care. I'm getting much better at that, and I have gotten much better at that over the last 2 years to be more proactive with my health care. But just in general, and this is a statistic that's out there, you can see it and find it anywhere, men tend to not go to the doctor as much as women do for annual checkups, things of that nature. And so that it plays another big role in why we don't live as long. And then toxic load in the home, we don't care. Men, for the most part, don't care about, the things that we're cleaning with and the things, because it's not something that we usually deal with. Most men don't deal with it, although the paradigm is shifting a little bit. And so we do see men staying home and men handling half of the cleaning in the house, which is great. Karen and I break up the housework 50-50. And so, but we don't care about the type of cleaning products that we're using for the most part. And so we tend not to worry about the toxic load in our home. And so those are some of the things that play into the fact that men just not to live long. And so what do we do about these things? What are some things that we can, as men, do to be proactive with our health care, to improve our diet, to improve and utilize some of the tools that we have? What are some easy ways for you as women to introduce these things to your husbands in the home? And so hopefully I can, over the next just few minutes, I can tell you a little bit about how I use them in my daily life and how they've been effective for me. And so my story is very similar to a lot of other men who are utilizing essential oils. I had to find out that they worked for me. Okay, and so first off, I used to get a lot of tension headaches. This is a couple years ago, and so we had someone who had given us some samples of essential oils. Mainly, they gave us tea tree oil and melaleuca oil for a lice breakout that we had in our home. It was a horrible day. And so we had utilized that, and then they'd give us some peppermint and a few other of the, kind of the top 10 essential oils. And so Karen said, well, for your headache, why don't you use some of that peppermint and see if that helps? And so I did. I used it, and it worked. But because I'm a man and I'm a little bit stubborn and I'm hard-headed, I thought it was a fluke. And it took 3 or 4 times of me utilizing peppermint for my headaches. I would put it on my forehead, my temples, and the back of my neck. And lo and behold, I have not taken, and I was an ibuprofen addict, okay? I probably did 9 to 15 pills a day, a week, which probably played into some of my stomach issues that I was dealing with. But so peppermint was one of those things that I started using, and I thought, you know what, this stuff actually works. And so I'm gonna try maybe a few more. And so women out there, find something that your man deals with. And believe me, he deals with something, whether it's nasty toes, nasty foot fungus, or athlete's foot, something like that. Find something that he's dealing with, and let's find a natural way to remedy that. And so peppermint was the first thing for me, and then it turned into my digestive problems that I'd had. Okay, so I dealt with acid reflux for 17 years, and I was on medication for 17 years, and really needed to get off because it was probably, I know it was doing nasty things to my inside. And so I had weaned myself using DigestZen. Do we all love DigestZen or what? I hate cameras because they're always opposite. Do we love DigestZen out there? Give me a thumbs up, okay? DigestZen is one of those things that I was a little skeptical about because I had been utilizing a pump inhibitor for my acid reflux for 17 years. And so I went on, this is really the second oil that I used. And I basically took 3 to 4 drops in a capsule twice a day, once in the morning and about 2 hours before I went to bed at night. And I would basically weaned myself off of Protonix and Prilosec. I would cut my pill in half, and I would take, for the first week or 2, I would take my full pill. Then I would cut my pill in half and then into a quarter and then once every other day, and then finally got rid of it altogether. And now I'm not on anything. Now I take DigestZen whenever I get like nausea or something like that, or I'm not feeling well. DigestZen is great for that. And that's another thing that your man, you can probably get away with because it doesn't smell girly. It smells like black licorice. I don't like the taste of black licorice, so I couldn't take it just in water. I had to put it in a capsule, but it was a lifesaver for me. And that was at that point when we started to see those things where I started to get off medication and it started to get off prescriptions and started feeling better. That was the turning point for me, and that's when we decided that we needed to really share this with other people. And so, and I was totally on board. And I'm all about really talking to men about some of the issues that we deal with and how to remedy them in a natural way. Let's talk a little bit about One of the other things I also dealt with was toenail fungus. And I know a lot of men deal with that, a lot of older men deal with that. And so Melaleuca oregano and fractionated coconut oil was one of the things that, another one of those things that was like the turning point for me, where I saw significant improvement in those types of things. So I also want to talk about diet. So diet was one of the things that really, when we talk about men's health, diet has to be, it's like that triangle. If you guys, I'm sure many of you have seen Essential Oils 101 class, we always show the triangle, that the health pyramid, and eating right is foundational, and men don't do that. And so we don't drink enough water. And so one of those things, if you want to introduce essential oils to your husband, your boyfriend, your significant other, or if you're a man here, one of the things that I suggest doing is introducing a lemon in your water. Great detoxifier, and tastes fantastic, and you don't have the acid from the actual lemon itself. Introducing that as opposed to drinking soda or drinking fruit juices, things that are just laden with sugar. Sugar is one of those things that is okay in very small moderation, and we're talking literally 23 grams per day of added sugar. It should be really the cutoff point. 23 grams of added sugar is roughly about 6 teaspoons a day, and you'll be amazed. Like, you're thinking 6 teaspoons. I can easily handle 6 teaspoons and cut myself down to 6 teaspoons. Look at everything that you're eating. I mean, just look at, you eat ketchup, look at the back of it, see how much added sugar is in ketchup. And so that's one of those things that, from a health perspective, has been really foundational for me, was cutting down on the sugar intake. And instead of actually drinking sugary sodas or juices, things like that, it's adding lemon oil into your water. If you're dealing with unhealthy metabolism, or maybe you're overweight, or your man is overweight, you don't want to introduce Slim and Sassy. I actually like Slim and Sassy. Now, I wish that it had maybe a different name, so I'm going to lobby doTERRA corporate for a different name for Slim and Sassy. But if your man doesn't want to drink Slim and Sassy, let's move to grapefruit. Okay, grapefruit is a good alternative because grapefruit is known to regulate the metabolism, and it's a natural appetite suppressant. And so it's one of those things that you can get your man to drink grapefruit water as opposed to that sugary beverage. Okay, it's one of the things we can introduce late. That's a small change. All of this is about small changes. It's not as though Karen and I decided that just one day that we were going to clean our whole house out and we were going to make changes, because that's never going to work. It's not going to work for you, and it's not going to work for your husband or your wife. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work for your kids. It has to be baby steps. We got to do this in a methodical manner. And so getting the sugary drinks out of your home is going to be great for your husband. It's going to be great for you and great for your kids. I promise you that. And Karen would be here tonight. I didn't even say where Karen was. So Karen is actually, she is at a wine and wellness event tonight that she's holding. So she's going to one of our local craft brew houses, and they're doing a wine and an essential oils class, and then they're headed off to do a moonlight yoga at one of the natural hot springs that we have here. So she gets to do some fun stuff, and so we get to tag team when we do this business together, which is pretty awesome. We enjoy that. Anyway, another thing that we can talk about is exercise. Exercise. One of the things that I think I'm telling you, is very easy to introduce into the home is Deep Blue. Okay, I know many of you women use Deep Blue. This is one of those things that if your husband uses like Icy Hot or uses Bengay or any of those for relaxing the muscles or muscle tension or joint pain or anything like that, introduce Deep Blue. One, it's natural, and the main ingredient is wintergreen oil. Wintergreen oil, if I don't know if many of you know that, but 98.8% of wintergreen oil is what's called methyl salicylate. Methyl salicylate is the active ingredient in very, very small, tiny amounts in Icy Hot, like maximum strength Icy Hot. And so if you think that major corporations aren't keyed into some of these natural things, they are. They just tend to synthesize them and put them in very small amounts. Why go to Icy Hot when you can use the real thing? So wintergreen, Deep Blue, great for muscle aches and pains. It's one of those things that's just a go-to, and it's easy to introduce into the home, and easy for you guys to use. It doesn't have a, it's awesome for any muscle aches, pains, back thing, anything like that. For inflammation, one of the things, obviously, inflammation is something that men deal with very often. And so there are two essential oils that I always suggest when it comes to inflammation. One of them is new, well, relatively new, and that is Copaiba. Copaiba is our cannabinoid oil. It is fantastic for inflammation. It is great for a healthy immune system. So it's one of those that is easy to utilize. I like to mix it with fractionated coconut oil. I'll put it on anywhere that's painful, and then I'll top it off with a little peppermint, wintergreen, or Deep Blue, and that works fantastic. It's one of those things that's easy to introduce, easy to use as a man. Another great oil for men is going to be frankincense. Okay, some of us are getting a little older, and so we have to think about exams that we have to do. One of them being a prostate exam. Okay, and I have a great story. One of our customers, good customer of ours, he went in for some routine exams, and they said, "Hey, we really need to do a prostate exam because you're getting to that age, or you're at that age where you need to start doing these things." And so he had a prostate exam, or he had a PSA test. Sorry, PSA test, which is the test for prostate cancer, or one of the markers tests that they do. And so his score came back at an 18.65. And if anybody knows anything about that, that's a fairly high score. 18.65, they're usually calling for biopsy. They're calling for you to come back, and they're taking it very seriously at that point. Anything above a 4 on a PSA test starts to be critical, and they start looking into things. And so, so men, go get your prostate exam. Go get that done if you're, if you have a history of prostate cancer, anytime above 40, okay? And if you don't have a history of it, 50 and above is when you should start having prostate exams. But anyway, they weren't able to do a biopsy. They were scheduling a biopsy, but they said it'll be 6 weeks. We'll take another PSA test in 6 weeks, but we're also going to do a biopsy at the same time. And so he went home, and he concocted a blend of frankincense, and heavy on the frankincense and light on the fractionated coconut oil, and started using that every day, 3 times a day, started utilizing that. When he came back to the urologist and they did their second PSA test, his score went from an 18.65 to a 2.06. That's absolutely amazing, people. That is the power of frankincense. Frankincense is an amazing oil. Just do a Google search on frankincense and its benefits. And these are things. Also, inflammation, it's great for inflammation. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. So those things, another great oil for men is frankincense. You can use it for just about anything. Another thing we want to talk about is sleep. Men, we don't tend to get enough sleep. Sleep is absolutely 100% crucial when it comes to men's health. We need about 8.5 hours of sleep at night. And I know as men, sometimes I'll talk to guys and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm good with 5 hours. All I get is 5 hours of sleep. I can work, I'm just fine with 5 hours. If I get 5 solid hours of sleep, I am good. You know what though? We're not living as long as women. We need longer, we need more sleep. Excuse me. Sleep affects everything. And if we don't get enough sleep, we make more mistakes when it comes to things in our job. This is just proven. Our immune system is not, doesn't work as well when we don't get enough sleep. And so when it comes to sleep, some of the things that I use, lavender, everyone says, yeah, use lavender. Lavender's great. One, I'm not a huge fan of lavender from a smell perspective. I like it, but let's just face it, it's not very manly smell. However, what I've found that is great for sleeping is cedarwood. Cedarwood is absolutely amazing. Or vetiver. If cedarwood doesn't work for you, try vetiver. The only caveat with vetiver is it'll put you to sleep. It'll knock you out. But sometimes you have very vivid dreams with vetiver. So some people don't like vetiver just for that reason. Or you can use our Serenity blend, which has just a tiny bit of vetiver in it, which I love. And it also has lavender and some other great essential oils for sleeping. So diffusing at night is absolutely 100% key. And so cedarwood is one of those oils that is great and smells fantastic, and it doesn't have that girly smell that lavender and some of the other oils have. And it's a very woody smell. It's great. I use cedarwood in all sorts of things. So I use it as a cologne. I like it for aftershave. So I mix cedarwood, peppermint, and fractionated coconut oil. It is the absolute best aftershave that you can possibly make. Put it in a little roller ball. Put it in a little. If you want to give a gift to your husband and you want to give him some natural aftershave, cedarwood, peppermint, and fractionated coconut oil in a small bottle, and I guarantee he's going to start using essential oils every time he shaves because they're fantastic. Also, it's great for beard oil. Cedarwood is great for beard oil. Another thing I want to talk about is proactive healthcare or keeping our immune system up. That's just one of those things that we tend not to think about. Men tend to get more sick or get sicker than women do. So our On Guard is one of those things. It's a staple in our home. We use it all the time. We're constantly using it in our cleaning products. We're constantly using it if we feel even a little bit of sniffle coming on. The way I use it for boosting my immune system, and also if I feel anything coming on, is I literally just take a couple drops right in my mouth at night or in the morning if I feel something that's a little off. Couple drops of On Guard, definitely one of my favorite oils. Swish it around in my mouth, grab some water, swish that around in my mouth, and take it down. This is the healthiest I've been in the last 2 years. This is the healthiest, hands down, that I have ever been. I don't think I've had maybe 2 colds, and they've lasted for maybe 2 to 3 days, and that's about it. And I attribute that directly to On Guard and just some of the oils and just the healthier lifestyle that we're leading right now. Let's talk about other stuff here. So we talked about proactive healthcare, reducing toxic load in the home. This is one of those things that I think is really easy to incorporate into the house and really easy to do. Obviously, doTERRA has some fantastic products when it comes to cleaning and things like that. On Guard Cleaner Concentrate is fantastic. If you want to just, from what we use, is just On Guard Lemon and Melaleuca for like our all-purpose cleaners. That is probably a glass bottle, On Guard Lemon, Melaleuca in it. And we use it just for about everything in the house. That's just easy. That's an easy switch. And you know what? Men will get on board with this because, you know, you save money. You don't always have to go to the store and buy Windex. You're not always having to go to the store and buy toilet bowl cleaner or whatever the other the other cleaning products out there are. You don't need it. One bottle is all we use. And it's basically, sometimes we switch it up, but it's always On Guard. On Guard is always in there. Melaleuca and lemon. Sometimes we do lime, sometimes we do wild orange. We switch up the smell a little bit, but all of them are great. Another great use for lemon. I'm gonna just throw this out there. Lemon really, lemon essential oil is really more of a solvent than it is an oil. And so if you tell your husband, hey, listen, here's lemon essential oil, and you tell him it's really a solvent, he'll be like, oh, a solvent? Ah, that's awesome. It is the best Goo Gone that you buy, hands down, will ever use. And so let's say a husband or boyfriend or something is out there wrenching on the car, and he comes in with really oily hands. Guess what? The best thing that he can use is lemon essential oil. It's going to take that nasty grease and oil right off your hands. So another great use for any of the citrus oils that are out there. Excuse me, I need some water. So yeah, again, reducing toxic load in the home. We have now gone to really changing out pretty much all of the laundry detergent. We've been making our laundry detergent for now 1.5 years, just utilizing essential oils, cast iron soap, and baking soda. Saved a ton of money doing it. Those are the types of things that you can introduce into the home that are not going to be threatening to your husband or boyfriend or any man in the house. In fact, should be inviting because you're going to be saving a ton of money doing it. Everyone likes saving money, so that's definitely a selling point. And like I said, I think men just hands down can use essential oils, and they can be more beneficial to men even than women. And it's just introducing them in the right way and not going in kind of gung-ho and saying, hey, we're going to change everything. We're going to change our whole lifestyle all at once. That won't work because men don't like change very much. We're just creatures of habit, and it won't work that way. But introducing things slowly and suggesting certain things with regards to healthcare and personal care, I think will go a long way. And I guarantee the men in your life will buy in. I did. I'm the biggest skeptic, and I am now 100%, I would say 150% sold on the efficacy of essential oils. If you want to do research on it, there's tons of research out there with regards to essential oils and their efficacy and how they work and how well they work. So if there are anybody out there, any men out there that really want to do some research, you can always get in touch with Karen or I, or anybody here on Live Naturally community is going to be willing to help you and talk you through and talk to you about some of the effectiveness of essential oils. So I wanted to leave the last couple of minutes for any questions that anybody might have with regards to men and essential oils and maybe how I use them. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and throw the comments up there. I haven't seen any comments so far, but maybe I'm missing them. I don't know. But I don't think there are any. I didn't see any. Oh, come on. There's got to be a couple of comments. A couple of questions. Anything at all? Oh, another great suggestion for you. And I only remember that. This is only because I was just cleaning the house. And so I was vacuuming. And so if you want to make your whole house smell great after, while you're cleaning and while you're vacuuming, a couple drops of spearmint on the bag or in the bag or on the HEPA filter, fantastic. Your house is going to smell like spearmint gum. So great tip for you. I'm sure many of you are already doing that, but I only think of that because I was just cleaning the house. And we're cleaning because we're having company over in a couple of weeks, but Friday we're headed to Wisconsin. So we'll be in Racine for a couple days and up in Door County for a couple days and then back home, and then we have guests coming. So no questions or comments. All right, well, it is, I don't even know what time it is. Let's see. It is 7:41, so I think we're gonna go ahead and log off. I will continue to answer any questions that you guys have, any comments that you might have, or anything at all. Obviously, Karen and I are always here to help, and so certainly we'll answer any questions or comments that you have below. But I guess if there's anything that any takeaway from this is that men will buy into essential oils. Men will buy into natural health solutions as long as they work. And I'll tell you, doTERRA works. Essential oils work, and they changed my life. And I am healthier than I've ever been, and I feel great that our home is becoming more toxic free, and that's another selling point, is that our kids are going to be healthier, and what dad doesn't want their kids to be living in a healthier environment. And so take care, you guys. We love you, Live Naturally community, and take care. We'll talk to you next time.